Hello everyone. So, in this part I will be explaining about standard normal distribution, okay, Z-score charts, but I want you to understand what is a standard normal deviation, because although as pediatrician we are used to using percentile growth chart with our patient, but when you work in the programs or when you look at this data, NFHS 4, NFHS 5 data, they look at how many percentage of children are basically below -2 standard deviation, how many children are below -3 standard deviation, because those are the children who are basically they are underweight, they are stunted, they are wasted, So, we need to understand this growth chart, Z-score growth charts also, because it is not taught as part of the curriculum in pediatrics. Okay. So, here it is. And it is also important for healthcare workers, because obviously they want to see in the program that how many children are undernourished, how many children are all those wasted and stunted. So, again let us discuss this chart. Okay. So, this is a bell curve. Okay. This is your basically your mean. Okay. Now, this is your -1 standard deviation, this is a -2 standard deviation, this is a -3 standard deviation. Okay. Then you want most of your children to fall between -2 to +2 standard deviation. So, this is your normal basically curve. This most of your children they fall in this from +2 to -2 standard deviation. Okay. How many percent fall in this? So, look at these are the numbers. So, from -1 or say I would say from mean to 1, you have 34.1% children fall between 0 to +1, and from +1 to +2 you have 13.6% children fall into this a positive. That means they are taller than, or they are bigger than your mean average. Then these are some children they are below average, right. So, below average would be your 34.1% children, they fall up to like from mean to -1, 34.1% children will fall in that, and then you have some children are even smaller than that. So, you have what between -1 to -2 standard deviation. So, about 13.6% children they fall in this, okay, from -1 to -2. Okay. But once they start falling below -2 standard deviation, these are the children, that means they are counted as undernourished, like moderate malnourished, severe malnourished. So, who are moderate malnourished? Moderately malnourished are the children who are between -2 and -3 standard deviation. Okay. These are moderately malnourished. And who are the children who are severely malnourished? These are the children who are falling below -3 standard deviation. Okay. So, these children are basically we have to immediately work on these children to get them up, at least towards the mean. We want to bring them not just over here, you do not want to just bring them over here and leave them, you want to make sure that they get the full potential. So, our goal is to bring them as close to the mean as possible. So, there is a long way to go for the child to go from here from -2 to mean, right. And look at this, they should be only under -2, you can have just like maybe 2.1 and maybe 0.1. So, not much, maybe 2 point, we'll figure out that how many children should, like normally you see in a standard deviation, how many children do you see below -2 standard deviation. Unfortunately, in India these numbers are too high. Okay. These numbers they are much higher than what it is shown over here. Okay. So, we will talk about that, but remember that half of your children are above average. Okay. Half of your children are above average, half of your children are probably below average. Okay. So, you want to make sure that you do not just stop over here, you try to bring child in the positive growth. This is the positive growth. Okay. So, try to bring your children more towards +1 to +2, because those children will if you try to bring them early on, say from 0 to 6 months of age, this as the weight goes up the length will go up. Okay. And that I will show you some of the growth chart. So, okay, this is another one. Here we have shown all the different standard deviation and we have shown the basically percentile. Okay. So, look at this, your 50% children. So, your 50% children would be on here like just below mean, and your 50% children will be above mean. right. Okay. Now look at your -2 standard deviation. Okay. So, -2 standard deviation basically coincides with 2.3%. So, normally only 2.3% children should be below -2 standard deviation, only 2.3% children in the world. But in India, if you look at the weight, 32% children are below -2 standard deviation, 32%. Look at the difference between 2.3 to 32. Do you understand what I am saying? Okay. Now this is below -2 standard deviation. So, you can imagine mostly our children are probably between -2 to -1, you know, and if some of the children maybe go up to 0.5. Very seldom you know, breastfed babies I see it over here in a positive growth. I do not see too many children who are between 0 to +2 standard deviation. Okay. But yes, we did started seeing, once we started using a cross cradle hold, we started seeing children basically more in this average, you know, your 50% in this side of the mean rather than this side. Okay. What is happening right now, when they find children who are below -2 standard deviation or even -3 standard deviation, healthcare worker try to bring them up little bit, you know, and then they leave them. They try to bring them children up little bit and then they leave them. So, our children are just falling into this 4.4% children who are between -2 to 1.5 standard deviation. They are just leaving all these children over here. Our goal is not to keep these children in this section. We want to bring our children, at least average children should be over here in mean. Okay. The earliest you start, better it is. Okay. Okay. Let us see other chart. Now this is your weight for age Z score. So, in Z score, see here, this is in the form of growth chart. You have mean, okay, you have -2 standard deviation, you have -3 standard deviation. Similarly, you have +2 standard and +3 standard deviation. So, average all your children should fall between 2 to -2, 2 to -3. Okay. If your child fall below -2 and it falls between -2 to -3, that means your children are moderately malnourished. Okay. Now this is because of weight, it is weight for age, so it will be underweight. So, if your child falls between -2 to -3, those are moderately underweight, and if child falls below -3, those are severely underweight. So, those are called SUW and MUW. Okay. So, remember this. So, I want you now to bring your children not just over here, okay, but I want you to bring your children up to mean and maybe above mean. Okay. Try to bring those children up, but with mother's milk, and earlier you start, better it is. Okay. Similarly, this is for length. So, again this is your standard deviation growth chart. You have you know 5 lines in this. Okay. So, your 0 to -2 and 0 to +2, these are basically children should fall in this from +2 to -2, and moderately stunted children will fall between -2 to -3. Remember, only almost 2% children should fall below -2, but we have in India we have almost, I would say, 36% children are falling below -2 standard deviation. Instead of only 2%, we have 36%. Okay. And -3, below -3 is your severe stunting. So, length for age is for stunting. Okay. This is your weight for length chart. Again here in length for age, weight for length means over here you have a length and over here you have a weight. Okay. So, when you look at the length and weight chart, basically look at this, this is your SAM and MAM. Okay. Acute malnutrition, SAM and MAM. So, between -2 and -3 standard deviation, those are called MAM, moderately acute malnutrition, and below -3 is your SAM, severe acute malnutrition. Okay. So, this is your SAM and MAM, and that is called wasting. Also we use it weight for length chart. Okay. We have very high percent of children who fall below -2 standard deviation, and that is a kind of, I would say, it is an emergency, because children when they are malnourished, acutely malnourished, that is when they have a high risk of mortality. Okay. Alright. Now this is I want to show you what kind of chart we use in ICDS. Okay. So, this is the ICDS chart, this is for boy child, this is for a girl child. Okay. So, in ICDS they have this standard deviation chart, but the way they have painted it, they have painted this green color from mean to -2. And my question is that where is the green color from 0 to 2, because that also children, I mean I want 50% children to be over here between 0 to 2%, 0 to 2 standard deviation. So, we do not have this green zone at all. So, for healthcare workers, if they bring the child in this particular little bit of green zone, they are extremely happy. I want all these children to be above green zone in a white zone. Okay. So, what we can do, I am requesting government to kind of fix this growth chart and have green zone from +2 to -2 standard deviation. Not we do not want our children to be negative below 0 or below mean. Okay. So, that is what again our growth charts what we have in ICDS, they have only used green zone from -2 to 0. This part is completely missing. So, please talk to your local administration and tell them that this is what is missing and we need to fix it. Okay. Alright. Now, last 2 slides and I am done. So, this is a girl child I had shown in one of my presentation earlier. This is a child who is only 6 months old, girl child, and this is length for age. Okay. This is a percentile growth chart. Because this child had beautiful milk transfer in first 6 months, look at where the child's length is. She is 97 percentile, this is 97 percentile. Only 3% children of her age are this tall and she is a tribal child. Okay. So, you want to add, look at the weight, that is your 9.42. So, as child was growing beautifully on mother's milk, catching up on growth and with full potential, the length was growing. So, this child is definitely going to be very tall when she grows up. Okay. Because genetic kicks in after 5 years of age. So, if you can really focus on mother's milk and complementary food which is high in protein and good fat, the children will grow tall. Similarly, this is a boy child, even this child, look at the length plotted at 97 percentile, very tall child. Okay. So, he is only 6 months old, look at the weight, 6-month-old child weight is 10 kg. Remember the average weight for a boy child I had mentioned about I would say I think 8 kg, this child is 10 kg. So, as the weight was high, you can see the length is high too. Okay. So, this is what I want to explain to you. Thank you so much, and I will basically ask you to see 2 of our tutorials and let me know if you have any questions. Okay. Thank you so much.